military family, which I think about it now, and I guess, I mean, we didn't have to do any of the stuff that other military people did, but I mean, my mom would shop at the base. We'd go out to, I don't know, we were involved in no matter what that is. I thought of myself as,
Well, that's right. I guess one of the survivor benefits, at least from a shopping standpoint, they give you, I think, permanent access to the exchanges
yeah, my
and everything.
mom,
So,
yeah, in fact, I was really sad when I couldn't go anymore. Um,
oh, I can't blame you there because I know how much lower the prices are because no
yeah,
tax.
yeah, no, I really was upset when my insurance ended, but I mean, I was prepared for that. But it was, yeah, they took care of us. It was good.
So
But yeah,
yeah, it's interesting. That is interesting because consider yourself a military family without the military part and without the regular disruption of having to pick up and move.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking was I shouldn't say that because all the people that have to really live a military life are thinking, no, you did nothing. And it's true. I didn't. But
Well, it's interesting. The moving around is actually one of the reasons why I decided to, if I was going to be in one of the services, I wanted to do the Marine Corps because there's actually fewer places they can send you.
okay,
And that's because, the Marine Corps is small
it is.
and you're pretty much in there. I mean, there's some other places, but for the most part, you're in one of three locations. You're in North Carolina, in and around Camp Lejeune and Cherry Point.
Yep, that's
You're
right.
in California, in San Diego, Camp Pendleton, and
Yeah,
environs, or you're in Quantico, in Virginia. I mean, those are the
yeah.
three biggies. I mean, and like I said, there are others. There's obviously Parris Island, South Carolina. There's some other stuff in California. There's 29 Palms out in the middle of the desert where
Ugh,
you could get
yeah.
stuck there, or horror of horrors, you can be sent to Hawaii. Oh no.
Right.
But it was that sort of because I have had family members who were in the Air Force, and they were fortunate in where they were stationed. They only had to do one overseas posting. They spent 3.5 years, maybe 4 years in Germany.
Okay.
But they were accommodated by the fact it was a married couple. They were both fairly high-ranking officers at the time. They both retired as full colonels. But the Air Force was very understanding about keeping them together. But I know from folks who have been in the Army and everything, it's and actually my friend Crystal from the Tuesday night show, her husband who's still in the Air Force, they were for the last 6 months were thinking, where are we going to wind up, where are we going to wind up, where are we going to wind up, and they found out, so they're going where it's warm. I hate them.
Are they excited though?
Yes, Crystal
About
is at least. I think she's ready to get rid of the cold. They're off to Tucson, Arizona.
oh, okay. Oh, bless.
Yeah, her husband is being restationed to Davis Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson.
I hope they enjoy it.
And it will be from there off to someplace else.
Yeah. Are they about 2 years too, where they're stationed at a place?
They've been where they are now, which is Matt, her husband, is working with a Air National Guard unit, or maybe it's Air Force Reserve. I'm not sure, but they're in Martinsburg, West Virginia, just west of D.C. And they've been there for close to 3 years, if not longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because if you're familiar with the story of Crystal's youngest,
That's right.
she was there. She was there in West Virginia for the almost her whole pregnancy,
Okay.
and their little one is 2.5 years old. now.
Right.
So it's been a while. Yeah, I remember first, again, coming across Crystal through social media and through Twitter. She was pregnant at the time, because I remember her talking about, how hard it was because we're about to have this child who has, heart defects.
Heart problems. Yeah.
And just, watching her go through all that and everything. Again, sort of the magic of social media.
It is pretty impressive.
Well, and I guess, you know what, we can use that as a wrap up to this, because I'll probably talk about it in a little bit of the intro for this, but we sort of had a amazing connection too, because we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but we think we probably started following each other and found each other across Twitter about a year ago, maybe a little less. And it's one of those things where, some people you can remember, the moment when you recognize somebody off of Twitter. There's a handful of folks that I can, remember the moment where you get the follow back, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Don't have that with you, but we do have by my memory, it was a Saturday night. There was I forget how I got into it with somebody, but it was somebody saying that, all of these foreign policy and military problems wouldn't be an issue if Ronald Reagan was still president. And I threw before you go all Reagan on me, check your history and take a look at Beirut, 1982 to 1984. And with that, I put the link to the post I did, which went up at my blog on October 23rd, 2013, for the 30th anniversary of the bombing, where I said, this was, they shouldn't have been there in the first place, etc. And in the blog post, I listed all the names, which are 267. From September of 1982 through February 1984, which, for the record, is 240 Marines, 19 members of the United States Navy, 7 members of the United States Army, and 1 airman from the Air Force. And I did, type them all out. The one thing from this post that I didn't cut and paste that list. I actually typed every name. Wow. And I did that. I had a web page that had them listed. Actually, I probably put it into a spreadsheet so I could insert all the ranks and everything. But when it came to actually writing the post, I typed them all. I did not cut and paste, and I did that for my own personal reasons, just to sort of my own active memory.
Yeah, that's.
But of course, one of the names on there is that of your dad, Michael Ohler. And you had caught part of that conversation, whatever. And I remember this very well, and maybe someday I'll go back and find the actual tweet. Although I probably could search back through favorites or something. But you actually screen capped your dad's name out of the blog post and replied to it with the picture on it. And it was just simply, you just said, "This is my dad."
Well, it startled me when I saw it. Before Twitter, before I met you, I don't know anybody that ever talks about Beirut or mentions it. And, I don't think I ever had it in a history class. I don't know. I just don't ever hear about it. And so that caught my eye right away. And I can't remember if I clicked on it. I don't know. But I saw my dad's name almost right away, and I don't know why that is, and it just startled me, and so I thought, oh my goodness. Yeah, and so I remember I took a picture and cropped it, and it was weird.
That was just I'll never forget that, because it was it was one of those just like, oh wow, what do I say?
Oh no.
It was really an amazing, I hate calling it a coincidence, because I don't believe it was.
Right.
And of course, it was very timely for me, because there's the piece that you asked me for the link again this morning that I wound up publishing at Pocketful of Liberty, that I had struggled with writing for a long time and could never get that post right. I went through. I'm kind of a perfectionist with a lot of those things.
Yeah.
The number of great, insightful posts that have never seen the light of day of mine is probably 10x greater than those that have.
Yes. Okay, that would be me.
Mainly because there are some things where I can never get it to read the way I want it to read.
Yep.
And that post was one of them, basically talking about how we don't win anymore, and that's a tragedy for the United States, and it's a tragedy for all the men and women who have gone to fight and their families. And what you gave me was the ability to personalize it. And that was really the missing piece, where I had to have a name, I had to have a face. And thank you. And thank your dad.
Thank you. I was so dumbfounded and excited. I like you the whole time. I just thought, this isn't a coincidence. And I'd only been on Twitter a few months at that point. And anyhow, yeah, that will always stick with me.
All right, then. Well, any final thoughts?
A million, but none of them are coherent, and there's nothing like to round it out.
All right. Well, thanks so much for giving this time. I think people will find this interesting. I found it interesting talking to you, and it's sort of discussing with you what I was hoping to accomplish. I think I got the sense of 30 years on as the child of somebody who was killed in action. Hopefully, this is something you can listen to and go back to, and whatever lasting grief there is and everything, I hope you're able to get rid of it.
Thank you.
Because I can't say I know where you sit, because I don't sit there. I can imagine, I can wonder, but I'm never going to know. And just, thank you for sharing this little bit with us.
Thank you for listening.
And we always do shameless self-promotion, so I'll allow you to give out your own Twitter handle.
What is my... Is it S?
It's Solar Sarah.
It is.
S-O... Now I'm going to mess it up, too.
Oh, I can say it's SOHLER.
SARAH.
Mm-hmm.
And for the record, I much prefer the name Sarah with the H on the end of it.
Hooray.
Well, again, thanks very much. And again, hopefully all the listeners here at Their Finest Hour, since, this was good, and it is going to make it on air. I'd much rather just put it up than have to transcribe it. Believe me.
Yeah, okay, good.
Hopefully folks will pick up on you, follow you on Twitter, and be able to hear you when they see your tweets. Because I can do that now, and I love it.
Oh, you do? Oh, good. I'm glad.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for listening this evening. This is Alan Bordius signing off for Their Finest Hour on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Again, on Twitter, at Alan Bordius, ALLANBOURDIUS. Also at Vigilant Liberty, at TFH Blog and Show. And we will see you next week for another live edition of Their Finest Hour. Their Finest Hour is a production of Vigilant Liberty Radio and is copyright by VLR Media. All opinions of panelists and guests were their